when you invest in communities, you invest in facilities and places and businesses that'll create jobs, you're also giving people that dignity to control their own destiny, that they don't have to be a captive to their own circumstances or the neighborhood they're born in or the school they went to. They can have a chance to rise up. So we're continuing to focus on making sure that communities have the resources they need. And that is an important part of bringing this community back. Again, the investments in the Sibley building, I mean, how many years did we go by that building and it just sort of mocked us, a reminder of what it had been. And now to see that place just full of life and energy, it's extraordinary, it's extraordinary. The Strong Museum of Play, which I came to with my children when they were younger, but then it's just developed into this world-class facility that we're all so proud of. And Rock the Riverway, I mean, to have the river here and have it not be taken advantage of the way we are and to unleash the potential. I mean, just the floodwaters of great things that are happening in that area. And of course, Innovation Square, where we find ourselves today, you know, perfect example of the new Rochester being built in a place that the old Rochester once occupied, the legacy businesses like Xerox and Kodak. So here we are, finding ways to make this region more affordable, safer, more livable. And this is also an opportunity for us to have more young students live down here. I mean, it's the young people that we attract here. And when I was growing up in Western New York, we always were realizing that our greatest export were our young people. They were heading to places like Texas and North Carolina and everywhere else they could live their dream. And now that doesn't have to be the case. People are coming here. Young people are coming here and realizing there's an extraordinary quality of life and infusing this city and this region with their talent and their energy. So I want to thank the Galena family, Lauren and Evan and Rob and their entire team for executing this extraordinary vision, and also Natalie and Carl Stabenow for this beautiful renovated theater for hosting us here today. You also think about numbers. Sometimes I think about places, I think about people. Numbers can also tell a story. And I judge myself as governor since I became governor in August of 2021. What's happened since then? And I look at numbers like the unemployment rate in the state of New York. At the time, it was 7.1% statewide. It is now 3.8%. I mean, those numbers are historic. Rochester, 3.2%. I mean, growing up in Buffalo, there was always a 1 in front of that. That would have been 13.2%. So it's still shocking to me as an upstater to see numbers that tell a very, very different story than we grew up with. And so those are great stories to talk about the number of jobs created. Since I've been governor, 586,000 jobs have been created in the state of New York. Dramatic increase, even here in Rochester, over a 3% increase just in that short. We're talking since August of 2021. So the numbers are trending absolutely in the right direction, absolutely in the right direction. So I'm excited about that as well. And we're deeply committed to this region. This is an area that we're counting on to be an economic engine for the rest of the state to power us through a lot of our decisions, not just in building on the legacy of our former businesses, but also embracing the new technologies. So this is what we're talking about is, again, a more affordable, safer, livable region. And we have it all here. We have it all in this region. And what I want to talk about is an area I feel that the one place we could be held back is in the lack of housing for people. And I'm talking about everything from affordable housing to workforce housing to market rate housing to luxury housing. We don't have enough. And again, what a difference from a generation or two ago when there was plenty of housing, plenty of very affordable housing because people weren't living here. People would leave. There was plenty of housing on the market and a lot of abandoned houses. And now the value of those properties is just extraordinary. But the problem is, when you have a limited housing supply, high demand, what happens is for people in search of a home, you either can't find one or the price is out of your reach. And that could be a barrier to either the young people growing up here, educated here, want to stay here. If they can't find a place that they can afford, they won't stay here. And if we're trying to attract new businesses to come here and bring your corporate headquarters or bring CEOs and bring people at all levels of work, again, housing is the challenge. I wouldn't have said this 10, 15 years ago. It was not a problem for us. But I feel, as having studied this state and know it better than anybody, that this is the area that we have to do much better. So we have to keep up our housing supply. And I have a bold plan. 800,000 new homes over the next decade, I believe, will fill that need to, again, drive down the price, but also increase the supply. Part of it is affordable housing, a $25 billion investment in affordable housing to tear down the old blighted neighborhoods that are just a reminder of failed policies of the past, and building beautiful new housing for people. I've seen a lot of this in Rochester. I've been to many, many ribbon cuttings here. The buildings are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Whether they have supportive housing, I've been to places we built for veterans and places for people with substance abuse problems, mental health challenges, or people just looking for a place to start before they can earn enough money to get their own place, buy a home someday, which is still the American dream. Housing stock needs to grow. In upstate, we think it's a very modest goal to ask that housing grow 1% every 3 years. Many communities can do that easily. For some communities, that's one apartment building. And so let's not be frightened by the thought that we have this, oh my God, what does this mean? It means that we believe in our future so much, and we know that people want to be here, that we're going to offer them a range of affordable and market rate and all kinds of housing, because then they can live here. It's that simple. But also I know communities are going to say, well, we have additional costs involved. Well, how do I know so much about this? 14 years on a town board, planning board, zoning board, safety board, environmental board. I know all the ways that you can stop a project, believe me. But we let a lot in my town. We stood up against people who didn't support even group homes for individuals with disabilities because of such NIMBYism, such hatred in people's hearts. And we had to stand up against that and bring in affordable housing and break down the barriers. And everybody always said, even senior housing, well, we're not sure about, seriously? We had to overcome that. But once you do it, people say, oh, really, they're wonderful neighbors. It's great, it's fabulous. So just people have this, keeping the status quo is always better for a lot of people. And it's just not, that's not how you grow, that's how you stagnate. And we cannot live in a state that stagnates. And that is my fear if we don't lean into these bold objectives.